So the other day I was scrolling through my operator list while playing Warzone, and then I remembered, hey, I literally own Ghostface and I can't use him anymore? What are we doing here, Call of Duty? Why did you never give us the option to use our old operators again? And that's why today we're gonna talk about it. Why Call of Duty still hasn't brought back the legacy premium operator skins we bought during Warzone 1.0 or the OG Verdansk era that later integrated Black Ops Cold War and Vanguard. I myself bought a bunch of skins back then, and I know tons of you did too. I mean, let's be honest, skins are one of Activision's biggest revenue streams. Just look how aggressively the game pushes store bundles, premium Black Site rewards, and mini event passes. They work, people are buying them. During those early years, Warzone was actually a shared hub. If you owned content in Modern Warfare 2019 or Black Ops Cold War, you could take those weapons and operators into Warzone. And Season 1 of Cold War marketing bragged about over 80 weapons and 50 plus operator skins coming over into Warzone. That cross-title sharing was part of the sell back then. And while they still have the same concept and idea with this new Warzone, this big open sandbox mode where everything from other games comes together, I feel like we don't talk enough anymore about the fact that they removed half of our bundles and cosmetics with the integration of Modern Warfare 2 in 2022. Here's just a quick reminder about the iconic skins we paid for over the years. For example, Halloween 2020. This season gave us Saw's Jigsaw and Texas Chainsaw Massacre's Leatherface as operators. They were the coolest skin bundles back then. And they repeated that for next year's Halloween event too. They gave us Ghostface from Scream and the Donnie Darko Frank the Rabbit bundle. Yes, they were licensed and only there for a limited time, but we could use them. And let's not forget the 80s Action Heroes event during Cold War. We got Rambo and John McClane from Die Hard, deployable operators that you could use in Cold War and Warzone. Again, cross-game operators that were marketed as playable in Warzone. And it didn't stop there. Operation Monarch brought Godzilla vs. Kong themed bundles to Warzone with Vanguard. And also they had the Terminator T-800 and T-1000 skins that were also released during Vanguard's lifecycle. But then the hard reset happened in 2022 when they launched Warzone 2.0 alongside Modern Warfare 2. Activision drew a line. Warzone 2.0's weapons, progression, and inventory system would be tied to Modern Warfare 2. They used the excuse that there were technical limitations and they wanted to simplify the new Warzone for a clean start. Translation: your Modern Warfare 2019, Cold War, and Vanguard stuff was not carrying forward. Legacy items stayed behind in a separate client. And that separate client became Warzone Caldera, the fenced-off home for our old gear, until Activision announced Caldera would be shutting down on September 21, 2023, along with our progression and inventories there. And after that date, those skins were only usable inside their original premium titles, not in the current Warzone. For example, if I wanted to play as Ghostface again, I can still do it if I just boot up Cold War, Multiplayer or Zombies mode. But here's the interesting part. Starting with Modern Warfare 2 and the integration of Modern Warfare 3 1 year later, Activision proved they can move huge amounts of content, weapons, operator bundles into the next mainline game and Warzone with this new shared client. So why haven't they just re-enabled our legacy Warzone 1.0 skins? I'm gonna play devil's advocate here for a minute. There are real hurdles. I'll walk through the biggest ones, and then I will show you why none of them are unsolvable. Especially when the store keeps pumping out brand new crossover bundles like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles or even Beavis and Butthead that we have right now. If they can build those skins from scratch for the current engine, they can surely port back a handful of legacy fan favorites, right? I guess the first argument would be that we have a bundle entanglement with skins and weapon blueprints going on. Because many legacy premium bundles weren't just a skin, they packed an operator plus multiple weapon blueprints, finishing moves, charms, and effects tied to specific guns that existed in that year's sandbox. And yes, it makes sense. We can't bring back blueprints for weapons that no longer exist in our current Warzone. But skins are just cosmetic items, and they shouldn't really be game breaking additions should they bring them back, right? I can totally understand their argument for resetting the weapon pool back then with the new Warzone 2.0, right? You don't want to have 1,000 different weapons going on at the same time. Adjusting for different metas and balancing each weapon with each update would be a nightmare. I get it. But what speaks against the idea of giving owners simply the skin back to use in Warzone? Would it be that much of a problem? I'm sure people wouldn't complain about that. If you gave them the chance of either receiving nothing or just the skin from the old games, I'm sure most of them would just take the skin and be happy with it. However, once they open this door, enough people will start to complain and say that this is not enough. Because once they go this far, people will just say, okay, now bring back the old weapon blueprints, right? And I think that is what they are afraid of the community asking for more than that. But what do you think? Would you take just the skin without the guns? Drop a comment below and let me know. The second argument would be about developers' time and assets, right? Because you could just say porting all those old operators would take forever. Different engines, custom materials, they would have to remake them a third time after making them for the original premium title, for Warzone 1.0, and now for Warzone 2.0, right? But look at all the stuff they have rebuilt. They literally gave us Verdansk back in 2025. They had time to rebuild that. And they introduced Omni movement across all of Warzone, and we keep getting gigantic crossover bundles. So the tools and people exist. It's a question of priority, not impossibility. If the team that's responsible for the anti-cheat is already doing nothing, they might as well just start porting over old operator skins. Another valid argument would be licensing. Because if we look at the movie skins, Ghostface, Rambo, McClane, Godzilla, and Terminator, aren't those licensed? Yes, and that's the only legit tricky part, and the one point where Activision can actually argue against reintroducing them. Most of the super iconic crossover operators weren't owned outright by Call of Duty. From Ghostface to Rambo to John McClane to Godzilla and the Terminator. Those deals usually cover when an item can be sold and where it can be used. And when Warzone changed platforms from 1.0 to 2.0, those contracts may not have included automatic carry forward into a new client. And that's probably why we didn't just wake up with all of our horror movie mains in Al Masra. That would have been too nice. But here's the thing, I'm not asking Activision to resell those bundles. If the store rights expired, that's fine. Take them off the store. What players want is continued use if it's already owned. The license to sell and the permission to let existing owners equip aren't always the same thing. Listen, I'm not working for Activision and I can't speak for them why they might have licensing issues, but I just would have preferred if they were more transparent about it, starting from the beginning. About stuff like, hey, we can bring back those iconic bundles, and you can also not use them in the next game anymore because it's technically a new game and not the same client, and legally we are bound about this and this and this. Like I said, I have no idea about their contracts and I can only assume stuff. However, what about the skins Activision actually owns? The base Modern Warfare 2019, Cold War, and Vanguard operators. What's stopping those? Because these are Activision's own characters. And they are really iconic too, from Woods to Adler to Captain Price. No movie studio would be here to block their use in Warzone for them. We already used them across those titles and OG Warzone back in the day. And let's not forget, when Cold War integrated into Warzone, you could load up Modern Warfare operators right next to Black Ops Cold War ones, and later Vanguard joined with their operators. So the tech problem was solved once under far messier engine conditions. And now with the current Call of Duty installment and this shared Call of Duty headquarters environment, it's easier than ever to just swap between games operators, right? It's just a matter of them reintroducing them as legacy operators in the first place. So to summarize it, we paid and unlocked some awesome skins in OG Warzone and Cold Wars and Vanguard's era. All of them are still locked today because of the Warzone 2 reset. We're not asking for every old weapon blueprint to return or for Activision to resell expired movie deals. We're just saying, if we bought it, let us wear it. Even if it's just cosmetic only. Better something than nothing, right? Especially Call of Duty only characters like Adler, Mason, or Park that released during Cold War. I bought so many Park variants and skins, it was a lot. And I can't really use any of those anymore in the current Warzone and Black Ops 6 integration, right? As a matter of fact, they only have like 2 Park operator bundles released so far, and we are like in season 4. I'm still waiting for the Park only season where she's like coming back from the campaign and we have to help her on a side quest or something. But the post launch story in this game is also completely garbage. But at least just let me use my Park skins that I bought back then in 2021. I have a bunch of them and I just want to use the stuff I already bought. Because Activision, at the end of the day, you would get a lot of respect from the player base if you would do that. You would get a lot of trust, and people would be more inclined to buy maybe a new Call of Duty store bundle, right? Also, thinking about how nostalgia is driving a lot of sales with Verdansk and stuff, people might log in just to re experience using those old skins again. Who knows? And since you already perfected this cross title carry forward system with these new iterations of COD, it's just a matter of time, resources, and money, I guess, on your side. But looking how you keep reselling the same skins multiple times, from the Terminator to Godzilla to even Rose with Verdansk, I'm afraid your priorities are just about yourself and not the player base. You just want to get that extra back. You just want to resell us the same skins multiple times. And I'm sure you were more than welcome with the reset that Warzone 2.0 gave us back then. Because that just meant for you that you could empty our lockers for us to buy new, flashy, and exciting operator skins and bundles in the store. But go ahead and prove me wrong, Activision, please. Just do something for the community for once. You're already losing a lot of players because of the lack of a proper anti-cheat in Warzone. And from the looks of it, we are not even sure if you're gonna continue with Warzone over the next years or if you're gonna sunset it too. So maybe me asking you to re-enable old skins is a waste of time anyways, since you might turn off the servers anyways in a year from now. But who knows what the future will bring. What are your thoughts about this topic? I'm sure people have strong opinions about operator skins they once purchased with real money and can't use anymore in this game. So drop a comment down below and I will read it. But thanks for watching the video, and I see you next time.